If you run in the national road with 300 kilometers per hour, can you decide in 1 minute to go with 10 kilometers per hour? No. It will take you some processing and some time, so-called time, to go from 300 kilometers per hour to 10 kilometers per hour. You see, it will need some processing. First of all, you will need to learn how not to harm others. And after some maybe 1 million dream lifetimes, you will have the maturity to sacrifice the so-called you for the so-called others. It can be possible. We have, for example, the example of Milarepa, the great sage of Tibet, who was considered to be a very bad criminal black magician with very big siddhis and riddhis spiritual powers. And then he at some point realized that he cannot be fulfilled and happy with that life, hurting others for his selfish intentions. And he decided to find a master. He found a master. This master led him to enlightenment in this lifetime. But this is a rare example, of somebody in the scriptures that in this lifetime, from being very, very evil to go to self-realization in one lifetime. Generally, there is the need of a lot of processing, a lot of lessons and suffering in order for you to become mature at a certain maturity where you start asking the truth. You start asking the way to permanent happiness, the way to permanent peace and bliss. And that is usually is happening when it is appearing when there is a lot of suffering. See? So when there is suffering, it's also something beautiful and perfect. Why? Because when there is suffering, it is a natural mechanism of the self, with capital S, of consciousness, to bring back itself to happiness. It is a spontaneous mechanism for consciousness to become aware of itself as happiness. But spontaneously, You see? Let's say another example. Let's say you see a very awful nightmare. What happens? You wake up very fast and very abruptly, But what about if you see a very beautiful, fun dream and enjoyment, and you don't wake up abruptly and quickly. It is the same with the so-called dream lifetimes. Especially in suffering is when we learn, when we become mature, when we become more in wisdom. When there is suffering and problems. Not when there is fun and smoothly life. Then we become somehow like a hypnosis and narcotic, state. Oh, now I'm enjoying my life, no problem, I just have fun. But what about if your boyfriend, you see your boyfriend with your best girlfriend making sex? Then you try to find out who you really are, because it will be the only solution for you to find happiness again. Or when, for example, you have an accident, a terrible accident or a terrible sickness. Most of the people, they go to self-realization process when they are facing a lot of difficulty and a lot of suffering. Because then you ask, why? I have suffering, I want happiness. I don't want suffering. Why you don't want suffering and you want happiness? Because you know that is your real state. How you can have nostalgia for something if it didn't was your previous state? So we are searching happiness because we know deep inside that it is our real nature. Happiness, bliss and peace is our real state, our real nature, as infinite consciousness, presence, witness and presence, you may call it as you like, the self. And when there is the absence of that happiness, peace and bliss, then we with that natural mechanism, we start searching again our previous state. You see, through self-realization process, through teaching, through master, through reading, through trying to find out the truth. See, but in reality, our true nature is that happiness, bliss and peace. But when there is the forgetfulness of that, then there is immediately the natural mechanism of suffering that brings us back to our eternal state of the self.